Stop it!
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Bad Movies Podcast, where we take critically panned or divisive movies and discuss whether or not they are worth the hate. I'm your host, Gianni DeMaia, and today, with me, is the boy wonder himself, Tommy Nelson.
Man, what it do?
Oh my God. You cannot talk like that.
All right, I won't.
I have a reputation to uphold. So, Tommy, you're with me today for two very good reasons. One, you are in a lot of movies yourself.
This is true.
You're in a fair amount.
In a fair amount.
You've been in some. You could talk about a few of them. What have you been in?
I've been acting since I was 7. I started with a movie called The Good Shepherd.
Might have heard of it.
You never heard of it?
No, I said I might have heard of it.
You might have heard of it. You might have heard of it, yeah. That was with Robert De Niro directed it, and it was I was very young, so I don't really remember. But I did, after that, I did Moonrise Kingdom, a movie called Meek's Cutoff. And then I just did a movie called My Friend Dahmer like 2 years ago that just came out. So it's on iTunes now and going to be in a couple more places soon that you can watch. But check it out on iTunes if you can or on demand. And yeah, I'll save my latest thing for the end.
Ooh, yeah.
Plug at the end.
Ooh, yeah. So stay tuned for that.
So
plug.
stay tuned if you want to know what's next.
Yeah, no, but I mean, you're. I think it's safe to say a successful movie actor. I would call you.
I'd hope
a
so.
Successful. Yeah. Well, I would call you a successful actor because you're also going to be in some television
some
stuff.
Television.
That
yeah,
we probably can't talk about.
We can't talk about the television, but soon.
Yeah.
Keep a lookout.
Keep a lookout for Tommy Nelson on IMDb. But so that's one of the reasons I had you on, of course, just because you know a lot about movies, because you're in a lot of movies. But also wanted to have you on because you're a good friend of mine who loves Kevin Smith movies almost as much as I do.
I love them. I love Kevin Smith. He was probably the first guy who really made me feel like I could make movies myself.
Yeah, I feel like he's that for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so.
And we're talking about a Kevin Smith movie today.
Actually, the first one I ever saw.
Me too. Actually, that's so weird.
Because it was very young. It's accessible when you're young, and
exactly,
you know what I mean. Because it's PG-13, unlike the other ones.
Yeah. But. So today we are talking about Jersey Girl. Jersey Girl is directed and written by Kevin Smith, of course. A few facts about Jersey Girl. 42% on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.2 on IMDb, and a 43 Metascore. Also, shout out to A.V. Kaufman. It only took us 3 episodes of this to find a movie that A.V. Kaufman has cast, and she cast this one. She casts literally everything. Maybe she'll cast me one day.
Maybe she'll cast me too.
Did she actually cast
She has not yet.
No, but
I do know her. Yeah, she's really cool. Yeah. Is this the only Kevin Smith movie she's?
You know what? I don't know, actually. I'll get back to you on that. Actually,
I think it might be.
Anyone listening can, if you want to email or comment on this video.
But she's great. She's done a ton of really great stuff.
Yeah, actually. No, she's amazing. Yeah. And she cast this movie pretty well as well, I think. But we'll talk about that in a second. Before we do talk about that, quick plot description. Tommy, do you want to tell us what this movie's about?
You want me to do it?
Yeah, you go for it. I mean, I have it written down. You could read what I have written down if you want.
Should I just wing it? I'll try to.
Wing it. Yeah, I mean, should we give our spoiler? Should we give our spoiler warning before, or? I'll say spoiler warning now because there is a pretty pivotal event that happens in the first act. So this is going to be a spoiler review, as always, but just a fair warning. If you haven't seen Jersey Girl, pause this podcast, come back, talk to us after you're done. All right, so Tommy, tell us what this movie is about.
The movie is about, it starts out about a guy played by Ben Affleck, Ollie Trike, I think his name is right.
I think Trinky,
Ollie Trinky, yeah. Who he's an agent for musicians in New York City.
Publicist
for musicians in New York City, and he gets engaged to his wife, who's played by Jennifer Lopez.
And I think they broke up during the time of filming.
They did break up. Wow, I think during filming they couldn't reshoot together or something.
That's awful.
And she gets pregnant, and everything's going really well for him. But then tragically, she dies during childbirth. He's left with this little girl, and he's still working as a publicist. And then he makes a fatal mistake in which
he curses out Will Smith and all the
right
journalists
prior to
below.
Will Smith becoming what he is now, because back then he was just the Fresh Prince.
Right, yeah, this would probably be a good time to mention that, like,
it takes place in 94.
Yeah, it starts in 94, and I think it goes to roughly 1996 because they make a reference to Independence Day is about to come out or whatever. And so that's like the first act of the film, and then it jumps 7 years. Is it 7 years?
7.
7
She's
years.
7.
To 2004.
Yeah, and then it becomes just about, he's a single father trying to raise his 7-year-old girl in New Jersey in present day. Well, whatever present day was back then, 2004, I think it came out.
Yeah.
And that's all really? I mean,
that's the basic.
Sort
Yeah,
of
that's the basic premise of the
yeah.
plot. Is I mean, it's about this guy trying to raise his daughter in New Jersey.
Some standout performances from the supporting cast.
Oh well, okay, yeah. So I mean, like
George
should
Carlin.
we just get into it, or well, wait. Well, let me say this really quick. This is actually a really hard movie for me to review objectively, because so like we both mentioned at the top, like this is my first Kevin Smith movie. This was your first Kevin Smith movie, but I also have a lot of nostalgia for this movie. I saw this movie as a kid with my dad, and like it really meant like a lot to us, and like it's just one of those movies that really like hits home. So I had to, when I decided I wanted to do it, I was like, I have to take a step back, because I also have this weird like inexplicable love for Ben Affleck that I have to like tone down for this review.
I don't even love him that much, but in this you can't help but love him.
Like,
man.
dude,
I mean, he's so good.
Man, oh gosh, but so I have to like. I had to really like rein myself in and be objective as possible for this review, and still I think this movie's great.
I love it.
All right, can we talk? Let's talk positives first, because that's what I've been doing with these podcasts. I talk like positives and then negatives normally.
I mean, number one, got a lot of heart. It's got
that's literally what I have written.
Is that your number one?
I swear to God, look, read.
No way.
Read right under where it says positives first. This movie
wears its heart on its sleeve.
That's literally what I have written,
and it's great for that. I mean,
God,
you elaborate then.
There's so many moments in this film when it chooses to get to like an emotional place, and like, granted, it does go too far at certain points with the sentimentality, and we'll talk about that when we get to negatives. But like in terms of positives, there are so many movies that hit me right in the feels, because they're earned and because the characters have deserved it up to that point. Like, I think my favorite scene, also something we'll talk about in the negatives, because the scene does have a major negative component to it, but my favorite scene is like the big climax at the end with the Sweeney Todd and they're performing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's just, it's so heartfelt and awesome that to watch Ben Affleck's character Ollie like grow to be this guy that understands that being a father is actually what he's good at. It was like his job, he was good at it, but he didn't love it, and this is what he loves.
It's
and
a bold. It's very bold. I think that it comes down to that he actually chooses. We've already said spoilers, so whatever. At the end, to be a father. Like a lot of movies, it would be like he chooses to be a father, and then he gets everything he wants anyway, right?
Yeah, no,
but this
back.
But no, he doesn't. He just is like, fuck it, my career that I had, I can't have it anymore,
and that's it.
But I'm good at being your dad, so I'm gonna do that. And that's like, that's a lot of movies don't take it there. You know what I mean?
But it's like so perfect, and it feels so earned, and it's so rewarding to see that look on Gertie's face in that like close-up shot when she turns around and sees.
She's fantastic, by the way.
I love her in this movie. Also, she's gorgeous now.
Really?
Because I was like, I wonder what she's been doing lately.
Oh, actually, no, you're right. I did. Yeah, I did know that.
But anyway, so like that moment when she turns around and sees him, and Ben Affleck's like mocking, like surprised look that he surprised her is the most adorable thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It is so moving. It's such a great moment. Also, just the little bits where we see Ollie run up and his father, Gertie's grandfather, is about to go on in his place, and he's like, take off the costume, like, because he's just like getting into he's like, I need to run on, and just no hesitation, George Carlin just like rips off his jacket, and then Ben Affleck just rips off his shirt, like they're just getting in to change the costume. Like everything about that, like that build up totally works. Like you're totally rooting for him to like just get on stage and for them to kill it. And they do, literally, they kill because they're performing Sweeney Todd, and it's like, and it's actually like a really funny moment. This movie is full of great moments with just like, man, makes my heart smile. Like
very emotional first like 30 minutes to a movie too, which is weird. I mean, it's crazy how quickly like not only the tragedy happens, but then he's dealing with it with his dad, played by George Carlin, and his dad's like, you need to be a father, like you're being a fuck up right now, basically.
Well, actually, George Carlin has
great. Let me say this by the way.
Yeah.
Great use of the one fuck you get in PG-13.
Yes.
Have you noticed this?
Yes.
He's one fuck is right before he finds out his wife is dead, and the doctor's like, I need you to calm down, and he's like, fuck you, calm down.
Yeah.
Great use of the one fuck
awesome
they had,
stuff.
you know.
And I love that. I love that scene. Just like, just that hallway shot is so powerful. Like the lighting of it, the atmosphere. Like you already know she's dead.
It's like a microcosm of the movie though, and it's because it's really emotional. And then that song comes on, and
we're gonna talk about that.
Like, what the fuck?
We're gonna talk about the music. We're gonna talk about the music when we get to fucking negatives. Because man, oh man, does it pull away from some moments. But that I love that shot. I love actually a lot of the cinematography
great.
in this.
That's a great. It's a really good scene.
George Carlin actually has probably my favorite emotional beat in the movie. And I think I'm going out on a whim here, but I think it's probably the closest to Kevin Smith's heart as well, because at the very end in the last scene, George Carlin has a moment with Ben Affleck's character where they're sitting at the bar after the show, and he's like, I was worried that you were gonna leave, and Ben Affleck's like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? He's like, I didn't want to die alone. He has that whole little bit, and then Ben Affleck like just takes it in and then kisses him on the cheek and is like, I'm not going anywhere. And I think it's the single most powerful moment in any Kevin Smith movie. Honestly, for me, it wrecks me. But the reason I think it's very dear to Kevin Smith is because at the very end of the movie, the movie is dedicated to Kevin Smith's father.
Was he dead already?
Who died in 2003.
Wow.
Which
is I remember that story. That story is really sad.
It's so fucking moving. But just the way it's like executed, like just that those two characters finally have that payoff, and you were watching a whole movie that was about a father and a daughter, and you didn't realize that there was a whole movie underneath it about a father and a son.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really what it is.
It's great. It's great writing the way he layered that in there.
Well, he is just a really talented writer, and it shows in the film.
For sure. I also have on positives that it's really funny. This movie made me laugh out loud multiple times.
Definitely, there's some really funny parts. Yeah, Jason Biggs is hilarious.
I get that little like crying moment.
Yeah, that crying moment he has is brilliant.
There's a lot of like just really brilliant. I don't want to say set pieces because I'm not like hyping it up. It takes place in like a New Jersey house. But there's like a lot of great like moments, like the two of them in the shower when Liv Tyler and Ben Affleck are in the shower.
Oh yeah.
And they've built up that Gertie doesn't remember to flush the toilet, and then she finally remembers, and it's to expose that they were like hiding in the shower together. And then she has that whole thing with like, what are your intentions? That's a callback to earlier in the film. Like there's a lot of really funny moments in this, and it just shows that like. Because it is
the changing the diaper with when the guy comes up and he's like,
you're wiping the wrong way. You're wiping it into her crevice.
Into her crevice.
It was so gross.
She's gonna get the stank crotch.
But it's funny because
and the scene with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, or not Ben Affleck. Sorry, what's his name?
Well, Ben Affleck is in that.
Yes, Jason. Ben Affleck's obviously
in that scene
with Jason Lee.
Yeah,
Matt Damon and Jason Lee when they're the record.
and they have the bet.
They're like, "Are you the
Ollie Trinky?"
Yeah.
It's genius. There's so many funny moments. I think what's so great about the funny moments in this movie though is that because it is just as funny as a movie like Clerks, but it shows that Kevin Smith is not just like a one-track mind of like Star Wars references and vaginas. Like he can make you laugh with other things.
And
like,
this was his first. People forget this was his first ever departure from that. Mm-hmm. This is the first movie he did not set in that universe without Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, he has no cameos.
Like, in this. Cut him some fucking slack.
Yeah, seriously.
It's his first time. Like, he's not good at making a movie like this yet. He's made like 6 movies before that are not like this.
It's his most mainstream film, aside from maybe like Cop Out.
And he only directed that one. I mean,
Yeah,
he
you didn't even
that
write
one,
it. Yeah. So it really does feel like his most mainstream
Mhm.
thing, and I think
It's a good effort.
really
It's
good
a
one.
good job.
But
I think there's a lot of reasons, and we'll talk about them obviously, that
Mhm.
the movie didn't do well. That actually
For
have
sure.
nothing to do with the movie itself.
For sure. I
know?
mean, yeah, we'll get into that. I also wrote here that I like, and this may be more subtle, but bear with me. I like that this movie showcases Jersey and New York with all of their beauty and with all of their flaws.
Yeah.
I think it really does a good job of like showing New York as like this place where you can like be something that matters, but also this place where you can get sucked into this world and not know how to get out. And I think it does a really great job of showing New Jersey as like this place where you can really find family and the little moments in life, but that you can get sucked into that world.
That is so true.
And really like never be able to escape. And I think that it really shows that push and pull.
Well, because
really,
I feel like
really
I go through something similar being from Connecticut and living there now,
Mm-hmm.
and going back and forth. And my mom will always say to me, she'll be like, all right, you, can go, you know, I know you got to go to New York for work or whatever, but like, don't get lost. She always says that. She's like, don't get lost, because you always get lost there, and then you don't come home for like a week or two. And that's actually a great point. It does showcase that balance really well.
Yeah.
I can get sucked into either world. And I love how the way that he just loves his job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's so real.
And they don't have to do it. They don't have to do it by showing like all these extraneous characters that are like going through some sort of thing. Like no, they do it through the characters that matter in the story. They do it through Ollie. They do it through like Ben Affleck, like you said, really loving his job.
Yeah.
And being really torn between those two worlds.
Yeah, and he always loved his job. It's not like he just threw himself into work because he was avoiding something. I mean, that's part of it, but
yeah.
He like clearly is a guy who loves his life in New York, and he's clinging on to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he does a really good job of showing that, like, with the character. Because, like, that scene when he's like, we would have lived there if
yeah.
You know when they're in Central Park or whatever.
Yeah, but
I remember watching that and thinking to myself, like, you probably wouldn't have lived there if you still lived in New York.
Yeah,
it's
probably
just
not.
You know what I mean? It's really just because...
Unless it was rent control.
Yeah,
like...
yeah, you know? I mean, he's almost delusional about it.
Yeah. He
and
definitely
it's realistic.
has...
He's not a perfect character. Mm. He's not even that likable.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, because I think that... Well, actually, let's talk about it right now, because one of my last positives here sort of bleeds into my negatives, but it's the characters and performances. And if we talk about Ben Affleck, like, I think he does a really, really great job of, particularly in the first act, because that's when it's the hardest to like him. And he has moments where, and I do think it goes too far. I think that, like, there are certain things that it really pulls the audience away from it. But Ben Affleck has a really, really, like, outstanding quality to not seem like a dick, just seem like he's driven, and that he just has his priorities in the wrong place.
Yeah, it goes a little far. You're right. I mean,
I mean, the one scene
the scene with Jason Biggs. That's the one that sticks out when he's in the office and he's like, "I'm fine."
Yeah, it just seems like a little overly aggressive, but also that one I think is a little more merited. Like, the guy just lost his wife, and Jason Biggs keeps probing him with these questions while he's making phone calls.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I mean, the one that sticks out to me that goes too far is when this is like the little aside when he's like changing the diaper and he like asked his colleague to change it, and she's like, "What? Just because I'm a woman?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Whoa, okay."
It's also
That's one of those moments where I'm like, "All right, come on, like make me like this guy." Make me,
yeah.
And then you end up really liking this guy.
You know what one of the problems is? I think all the characters seem really well developed and like 3-dimensional and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then you've got Gertie, like Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, yeah.
And she's just so perfect. And I know we're seeing it through this guy's lens, but you notice how she has like no flaws, really?
Here's my argument for that, though, is that the whole first act is told is told from Gertie's like essay or whatever that she wrote for class, and that's being told to her by Ben Affleck. So I mean, it definitely shows her
I love
limited...
that scene, by the way, with when she's like really pregnant and doesn't want to go to the VMAs or whatever.
Yeah, I think that's
it's really well done how it's the one shot and then she starts like getting upset.
Yeah. Well, because that's one of those moments where I was like, it would be so easy for Ben Affleck to be a dick here, but he is like a bit of an asshole about it, but
But you get it though. He's gotta go.
Yeah, he's really gotta go. He loves what he does.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to get fired. It's the one day of the year that he can get fired. Like the stakes are there, and I think that he appropriately shows that without demonizing this guy. And then
George Carlin is incredible as always.
Exceptional. I think the two
and
of
his
them
character's kind of an asshole.
Yeah,
like, you know, it's like
there's a few references to him being an alcoholic, and it's never really talked about, but I think that it's like a cool little like sub thread that's like sort of littered through this movie.
You've got that, and like that line, he's like, listen to the mouth on this one. And he's like, well, they don't make him like mom anymore. Like he's obviously like, kind of a dated dude. Like he doesn't, you know what I mean?
And I love that he has this like idea of his son as like some sort of sex fiend. He's always talking about like how he's like,
I don't want no whores in this house.
I don't want no whores. I don't want no whores.
He's like so not really much of a whoremonger, Dad.
He's so fucking Jersey. He's such a Jersey dad. Like that.
Yeah.
He is just that guy. And he's like got a heart of gold.
Yeah. And, he loves his granddaughter.
Oh my god, he loves his granddaughter, and it makes me.
And that's one of I don't. How many more film performances did he do?
Couldn't have been that many. Which is also why that last scene breaks my fucking heart so bad.
Yeah, man, I can't even watch that. I mean, George Carlin was my favorite.
Dude, as a comedian, he's exceptional. What I love so much about this role is that like it does give him the opportunity to be funny, but this is really like an acting performance for him. And I love seeing those comedians like go that route.
And I wanted to say this because I thought of it before, but I didn't mention it. The other movie that does that New York, New Jersey thing really well is Chasing Amy.
Yes, another Kevin Smith masterpiece.
Like probably his best. You know, most people say it's his best.
It's up there.
But that does the same thing that you're talking about, where it shows like the world of New York and how you're getting sucked into that, but he's still in New Jersey and trying to find success there and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it's Ben Affleck too.
It's another great Ben Affleck performance as well. I think that people don't talk about this enough. I think what hurts me the most about the criticisms of Jersey Girl. And we're about to really get into the negatives
there's
of the
a
film.
lot, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. But what hurts me the most is when people say Jersey Girl in the same breath as they say Gigli or Reindeer Games. There was actually
it's absurd.
There was an interview with Ben Affleck that I was watching. This was years ago, so I mean, forgive me if I'm misquoting it all. But one of the people in the interviewing room or whatever asks Ben how he responds to like negative criticism on movies and then they cite like a couple. They cite I think Reindeer Games, I think Reindeer Games, I think Gigli, and then they say Jersey Girl. And Ben Affleck, before he answers the question, goes, "Well, actually, I like Jersey Girl," and then answers the question. And I was like, "Dude, that's fucking me." I was like, "Fuck yeah, like good for you, sticking up for what you think is actually good."
Like the only reason really this movie got the criticism that it got. And I've watched a bunch of stuff about this, like a bunch of Kevin Smith interviews. And yes, he's biased, but I think there's a lot of truth to this, is the press, like, circus surrounding Bennifer at the time.
Yeah.
Which was really huge.
Yeah, that makes it tough.
Coming off of, like, such a bad movie like Gigli for both of them. And, I mean, it mainly those two things. Also, like we said, like, Kevin Smith had never made a movie like this before.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people thought it didn't feel genuine.
Everybody was looking at this with, like, a hyper-critical eye.
Yes.
And I think that's really what plays against it. Because at the end of the day, all of the stuff that is bad about it, for the most part, is... like any other romantic comedy of its era, you can find it there too. For sure.
Like all the cheesy stuff, all the like improbable stuff that you're like, all right, this takes me out of it. Like any other romantic comedy. But this one just got like trashed for some reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like half the things that I'm going to complain about in this movie are in a movie like Love Actually, another movie that I love.
But that people fucking really love.
Yeah. Now Love Actually is like basically a cult classic.
Yeah.
And it's being praised as like this, like one of the greatest rom-coms of all time. Rightfully so. It's a great movie. But it does, in terms of pitfalls, it falls into a lot of the same traps that this movie does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not nearly as reviled. So
yeah.
Well, I mean, let's talk about the negatives. I mean, we already said that like in the first act, it does go a little bit too far on Ben Affleck's character being a sort of unlikable guy. And I think that it does play into the arc. I think there are a few moments where it's like, okay, this isn't playing into the arc anymore, and now he's just a dick.
But it's like 10 minutes, man.
Yeah, if that.
like, if that, 5 minutes.
It's so painless. But another one of the things.
And and you really get where he's coming from by the end when he's like,
fuck yeah.
When they have that "I hate you" fight.
I love that scene.
Fucking love that.
Oh my god, I hate you too, you little shit. Like,
yeah, it's great.
The two of them are great in that scene too.
And it's crazy that you can watch a guy say to his 7-year-old daughter, "I hate you too, you little shit," when it's so uncalled for, and yet you're still like, "Oh, I know you didn't mean that."
Yeah,
and
you and your mother
really
took away
fucked
my
up.
life. I just want it back. And then just seeing like cutting to the guys on the couch, and then cutting back to Ben Affleck's like face as he just like deflates and realizes what he said, and then Gertie's face as she's crying. It's so great. But we're getting back into positive.
I know, because it's hard because I love it, but as you were saying about...
Okay. Bear with me on this one. Cinematography can kind of be uneven at times. Now, I have a reason for this. Because I think that oh god, I'm gonna butcher this name, but the cinematographer,
this guy,
is Vilmos Zsigmond. I hope I'm not butchering that, but I have read in multiple sources that he and Smith were kind of like at odds, and I think that
he
plays
called him
a lot
like an
into it.
asshole, right?
Yeah,
like,
and it's Kevin Smith even admitted he was like, this guy did make this movie look way better than it ever deserved to look. And there are moments where it's like, fuck yeah. There's like when Ben Affleck runs in, when his wife is about to give birth, he runs in the hospital, that one shot, and it like follows him in and then follows him back to get Gertie and then follows him back in, and like it's such a funny moment from Ben Affleck. He has like one of my favorite lines in the movie where he's like, "This is my wife," and then he turns to his wife, he's like, "This is the belligerent nurse who's being so difficult with me," and it's like just so ridiculous.
And she's more calm than him.
Way more calm. Yeah, it's so funny. But there's like a lot of like great stuff. Kevin Smith even says though that like he taught him like a lot about lighting and things that he didn't know. And I know that from what Kevin Smith says about Cop Out and his experience with Bruce Willis, like it is not a well-kept secret that Kevin Smith isn't. He acknowledges that he is not the most technically versed director working today.
He shot stuff like they were plays for a long time.
I mean, Clerks. You watch Clerks, it's literally someone holding a video
shot
camera
the whole time.
That's it. I mean, it's about the writing, and it's like if that can captivate you with the performances and stuff. And I get all that, and I do think that Kevin Smith has gotten loads better. I love watching his movies.
Red State. Have you seen Red? Well, you haven't even seen Red State, but people who have seen Red State know. Or at least I think it's awesome. I think it's really well directed.
But it's clear that like what I love so much about him as a filmmaker is that he continually grows.
Yeah, he really does.
And I think that there's a lot of growth in this movie. Now, that being said, I think that the cinematography is at times, and I'm saying at times like occasionally, I'm just saying it'll have like a very, very gorgeous, beautifully lit shot, and then it'll cut to like a close up that you just feel is like
it's uneven.
Off.
Uneven is the perfect way to describe it.
You're just like, why did they go to that shot? And it just seems like okay. And some of it is very indie. Some of it feels very Clerksy. And I actually like those moments a lot more than the moments that feel very much like.
My favorite shot's probably the going back in the hallway in the hospital.
Oh yeah, that's like, a great shot.
Like that's great.
But you could tell that's one of the ones that is the most Vilmos Zsigmond.
Yeah, I mean obviously. I mean, come on. But
the lighting in that shot is exceptional. And tells the whole story. And it's a very simple shot. Just a flat shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a flat wide, and it totally tells everything that it wants to say. But so at times
I agree with that negative. Yeah, I think that's definitely fair.
The music.
Yeah.
Man.
A lot of times.
Man.
We've got there's the landslide.
Landslide is the toughest one.
Which do you know? Like what did he say about that? Did you read this? No. I just read it today. That wish I could remember something like somebody sent him an email about that song and it really touched him, so he put it in the movie. And I'm like, yeah, I can really tell because it's very, it's just not. And the worst I think is as that shot I was just talking about when they're pulling back from the hallway.
Yeah,
he just realized his wife died. They put on this song.
Why did they do that? Because I feel like
good with this song.
I feel like it would be so much more powerful to watch Ben Affleck like weep in that moment silently.
Yeah, the orchestral score is weird too sometimes.
Yeah, it's very odd.
It's way too much.
There's too many shots of characters looking off, and it's like you don't need it. You just don't need it. What bothers me the most about the landslide one is especially it cuts to Gertie on the swing by herself, and she's looking off. And it's like, okay. Then it cuts to Ben Affleck, and he's drinking a beer, looking off at the water. And I'm like, first of all, these are two things that I've never seen this character do before. Why are they throwing me together? But what bothers me the most about it,
like a big drinker,
is that the next shot is him at the grave, and that's the shot that matters. So I'm like, just cut out the fucking sitting by the water shot. Why are we wasting our time?
Why do you have to go drink a beer by the water to then go to the grave?
It's silly. It's fucking silly. It's like you're that's a shot that's wasting.
Yeah,
And
I will say the use of
that.
Sweeney Todd is awesome.
Amazing.
That's probably the best part of the soundtrack.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Although I don't like when the music cuts in between it when Gertie sees her dad. I don't like that little orchestral score.
Yeah, that's bad.
But the moment's so fun
man.
that and so heartwarming that you don't really give a shit. But that is an example.
Again, that's what the movie is really about. At the end of the day, at least my thesis or whatever. It's moments like that. It's like, wow, that is dumb, but I'm invested. I love it.
It plays. What bothers me so much about the music is that it plays right into the narrative of the critics that are like, this movie is so cliche and so bullshit. And it's like, those guys I think are wrong, but
they have a point.
They have a point when it comes to scenes like that, and that's what they would cite. And it's like, I gotta bring it up in this review. It's like, I gotta say it. Like, the music,
it's pretty bad.
The music really feels dated, even in 2004. Imagine
it's like
how
a
it feels
3
now.
out of 10 max.
Yeah, the music not just the it doesn't click. It doesn't click with the rest.
And
of the
he
movie.
usually has. Well, no, he doesn't usually have good. I mean, Clerks has a great soundtrack.
Well, that's the
Chasing
thing is,
Amy has a good
I
soundtrack.
wish that the music.
He's capable.
The music choices in particular were less mainstream. That's what it feels like. It feels like he was like, I got to do a Hollywood movie with the music in particular. Another one of the flaws is, and I think we've already talked about this a little bit, is that the writing can dip into a little bit too much of sentimental territory.
Yeah, but no more than anything else.
No more than anything
I've
else.
seen.
I think that when it's at its worst, it's because Kevin Smith as a writer is a little nervous about letting you get it through seeing rather than and he has the characters explain it. Like, I'm thinking about the scene where Ben Affleck is talking to the baby and he's like, I'm gonna be the best dad ever, and he's like crying and all this stuff, and it's like a really well acted moment, but it's a moment that it's like, it feels a little clunky just because he's saying too much. Like, that monologue could be cut down to at least half and it could still be just as effective and powerful, and I can still get the point that it's like, he's gonna try to be different, he's gonna try to be better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a bit much. I don't know. I think it's impressive almost, like, some of those scenes though, because a lot of times the writing that I'm being taken out of the writing because it's too Kevin Smith, like, fast paced, like, oh, would he really come up with that? Like, you know what I mean? It's more stuff like that than the sentimental stuff. I'm kind of used to that corny style of dialogue in other rom-coms that I've seen and movies like this. You know what do you know, am I making sense?
No,
Like,
I feel you.
know
I feel what you're saying. You're saying like this style of movie is like made you accustomed.
Yeah,
to
I'm not. It not much happens in this movie where I'm really like, wow, that was bad. Like, that was corny. Most, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
for the most part,
I think it's very few and far between.
Right, you know.
But there are definitely moments where I wish that Smith's writing would just flow a little better.
Yeah, I mean, the masturbation talk scene is a great conversation.
Genius, yeah.
And you know what's actually funny about that? I wanted to bring this up, this little, like, thing that I know. I don't know if you know this, but that almost gave them the R.
Yes, I did hear about this.
Isn't this fucking crazy?
I did hear about this,
I fucking hate the MPAA.
Nah,
I really, you know what? Like, what are you guys doing? I mean, and Kevin Smith even said, he's like, oh, they didn't want, he's like, I don't think they wanted Arwen the elf talking about masturbating. And it's like, really, you're going to give the movie an R?
Yeah.
Because of one scene about masturbation.
I mean, what's good is that they repealed it, but
They did repeal it.
My last criticism is that my favorite moment in this movie is illogical. It makes no sense. part that makes no sense is I already talked about the climax of the movie with the Sweeney Todd stuff. It's like, yeah, the joke is that it's overly violent and it's inappropriate for a kid, and then the teacher passes out after she sees it, and blah blah blah. That's the joke. It makes no sense because why would they not have fucking rehearsals for these things? And how would the teacher not have seen it? It makes no sense. It's. But you know what? I don't give a shit.
Really?
I don't give a shit because it's my favorite fucking scene in the movie. Fuck you.
I thought you were going to talk about how Liv Tyler was miscast. That's the one I saw. I was excited for this one.
I do think Liv Tyler's miscast. I think that she's great, though.
She does a really good job.
I think that she does a really good job, so it's not a criticism. I think that it's not her and her essence when she enters the room. Also, A.V. Kaufman, really sorry if you're listening. I don't actually think she's miscast.
Oh, that's why you didn't want me to say it.
No. I was gonna bring it up. Later. But I don't. I think she's miscast in the sense that like it's not who Liv Tyler really is, but she does such a great fucking job, and really is. Like,
well, the thing is that I just can't imagine anybody else but her at this point.
Yeah, it's like
after I've seen it a couple times, like it makes perfect sense. But I do understand that. Yeah, how you immediately are like it's the Arwen the elf thing.
Yeah,
again, right? It's like the Arwen's talking about masturbation, but
that's exactly the point. It's just she's so like bubbly and quirky, and I don't think of Liv Tyler that way, but. She does such a great job portraying that. So
it's really not. You're right. So it's really not a criticism as much as something to talk about. I love that scene, by the way. After when she comes to his door, and he's like, he tries to pass it off like Gertie was crying the way home.
Yeah,
like he's really gonna do it, right? Like he's like Kid was crying the whole way home. She's like, no, I wasn't. And then he's like, oh shit. and then she's so good going back the way I forget what she says, but she's like, all right, so. 12 o'clock. I'm gonna be there
at the diner, and he's like, "No," and she's like,
oh,
12 it is.
Bye. She's like awkward. Like that's like a real girl that I would know.
Yeah, totally.
Like, that's like a real.
And then she gets into the car, and he's like smiling. He's like, "What a strange person!" Like that's that.
And they never really get together in it.
No, there is definitely. Sorry. That's right.
I don't need to look. I'm just turning this off. What were you gonna say?
They definitely allude to them eventually getting together. But what I like about the movie is that it doesn't end with a kiss. It ends with the father and a daughter. Yeah. And I do think that last shot is like a bit much with the lighting change and all that shit. But it's cute and it really brings forth the whole movie.
Yeah.
It really brings it all together.
The rehearsal thing is what's bugging you.
I'm telling you.
You really hate things like that, huh? You're one of these guys.
I am. But it drives me nuts just because
it's so elaborate, right?
Yeah,
like that, right? Because it's like a whole set piece, you know.
Mm-hmm. And in a movie that doesn't really have set pieces,
you got a point.
You gotta look at it. You gotta look at it and be like, okay, come on, really? What I hate about it so much, what frustrates me so much, is that it's also my favorite scene. That's what tears me up inside.
That is
at night.
The whole message of this, like, right? Like it's like. Yeah, I know. There's no way they could have fucking rehearsed this, and nobody talks like that, but it tugs at my heartstrings to see him show up for his daughter.
So who gives a fuck?
And he's so good. Oh, he's so good at it.
At the end of the day, anyone with a heart can overlook the conventional nature of this film.
Come on. If you watch this movie and you're like, this is bullshit. Like then you're just
you need to get in touch with your emotions.
You need to. You have some other things to think about.
That's the thing. It's like okay, so speed round. Tommy Nelson, speed round. Name me your top 3 favorite moments or quotes from this film. Go.
Okay, number 3's got to be Jason Biggs sobbing. Number 2 is like George Carlin's performance.
In general,
honestly, I mean, especially that moment at the end where he's like, I didn't want to die alone. Mm-hmm. And number 1, when he does the, like, you can't see it, but the shocked look, like he's surprised. You know, when he shows
Ben
up.
Ben Affleck's little, like, reverse shot on surprising Gertie.
Incredible moment.
So great.
And it tugs at my heart. It's so beautiful. The monologue gets left out because that is where it veers into emotional territory. But
All right, so I'm going to have my final review here. At its worst, this is a movie that gets too swept up in cliches and sentimentality. We talked about that. But at its best, this is a truly touching film that hits all the right moments of some of Kevin Smith's best work. And I am fucking proud to go to bat for this film any day of the week. I give this film 8.5 out of 10. Fuck you, critics.
You know
with
what?
Your 40s and your 6.5s. This movie's fucking great, okay? And that's objectively.
What do you get out of shitting on this movie? Like, that's what I want to ask these people. Like, what? Like, oh, fuck it, 6.5, Jersey Girl. Like, what does that do for you?
I think
like,
most
it's
of the
not
people...
a movie that everybody is talking about and saying is good. That I get. When you see a shit rom-com and everyone's like, this is amazing, and you're like, it's just another rom-com.
Yeah.
But when Kevin Smith comes out with a movie, like any other rom-com that actually has a lot of heart, and you're like, fuck this shit. It sucks. Like, it's not written well. Like, it's like, yeah, which one is? Like, none of them. This one at least makes me, like, I'll tear up in a couple of scenes because I care.
I think that rom-com hate is usually so earned. I'm sure you're going to see a lot of other rom-coms pop up on this podcast. But this one does not deserve the hate. Please go watch it if you haven't seen it. If you somehow listened to this whole podcast and haven't seen Jersey Girl, please go watch it. This is a movie that's very near and dear to my heart, but I promise you it won't disappoint you. If at the very least, you'll just be like, that was a disposable hour and 40 minutes. What have you got to lose? There's no way you'll hate this film. If you hate this film, you're made of stone.
Yeah, you just don't have a heart.
Or you could just I guess not like Ben Affleck, because I think there's a lot of people out there that don't like Ben Affleck for some reason. But
we never really got back into how you have this weird soft spot for Ben Affleck. I think that's for later episodes.
Well, yeah,
we're gonna reveal more of that as you go on. How much you love him.
I already like,
next week you're gonna be like, I can't believe Reindeer Games and Jersey Girl are in the same breath as Geely.
Believe me. Reindeer Games and Geely will probably appear on this podcast at some point. But for now, I'm going to leave my love for Ben Affleck at the door. If you want to hear more about my love for Ben Affleck, you can go on Sound Pollination and listen to 20-somethings, my episode on 20-somethings. It might be out by the time this is released. But I do get a little emotional about Ben Affleck in that one in particular. Tommy Nelson, thank you so much for being on this podcast. It was a pleasure.
I had so much fun being on this podcast, and I'm going to have even more fun.
Do you want to plug your shit?
When
you were about to plug it without telling me.
My next movie, The Cat in the Moon, comes out.
So okay, go ahead and plug the things you want to plug, Mr. Nelson.
Yeah, I just worked on this movie in February and March. My friend Alex Wolf wrote, directed, and starred in it, and I had a blast doing it. It's a passion project for him. It's his first feature. It's going to be incredible. I don't know when it's coming out, but look out for it. Look out for news for it, because it's fucking amazing. And I don't know. That's all I got. But it's great. The Cat in the Moon. Definitely check it out. When it comes out.
And please keep up with everything that Tommy Nelson is doing. He's doing a lot of big stuff.
Keep listening to these podcasts.
For sure, yeah, he'll be on again if you liked him.
If you didn't like me,
if you didn't,
took issue
I won't
with some
ask
of
him
my
back.
comments. I'll fuck right off. It's okay.
It was.
But thank
really
you for having me. I had so much fun, and I love Jersey Girl, by the way. So, just one more time, I love it. It's great, amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Bad Movies Podcast. If you like this, you could follow us on Twitter at Bad Movies Cast on Twitter, and you could feel free to tweet at me. Give me any bad movie suggestions that you'd like to hear on the show. You can also follow up on Sound Pollination and everything we're doing at soundpollination.com. Keep up with us and what we're doing. We're excited to be launching a bunch of cool shit in the future, and we're really excited to tell you about it. Thank you guys very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Real quick segue. Hey, do you like movies? Because boy, oh boy, have I got the fucking thing for you. We at Sound Pollination are affiliated with Atom Tickets. AtomTickets.com. Super fucking easy to navigate. I have MoviePass and I still use Atom Tickets. So if you go through our link, probably in the description below, probably on our website, probably on both, honestly. I wouldn't know at the time of recording this. I'm just going to say that they're on both of them. Okay, so anyway, if you want to buy a ticket to a movie, go to our website or go to the link below. Click on it. Atom Tickets. That's the way to go. Super easy to navigate. Like I said, I have MoviePass. I still use Atom Tickets because sometimes there's a movie that's coming out and it's going to be sold out and I got to get the ticket ahead of time and boom, I have fucking Atom Tickets. It's so easy. I can do it right from my phone. I can do it from my computer. I can do it anywhere. Atom Tickets, the most navigatable website. Also, it goes through IMDb. What the fuck are you waiting for? Use AtomTickets.com. Thank you very much. Boom.
This podcast was brought to you by Sound Pollination, an audio production company helping young creative minds make some noise.